Hello, my name is Ta Kaiya Blaney, and I'm from the Sliammon Nation. First of all, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional territory of who we're standing on today, and the Songhees, and thank the Songhees for that and allowing me to speak here. And I would also like to acknowledge Jackie and Norma Gonzalez for making my regalia, and respect them for that. So my name is Ta Kaiya Blaney. I'm 12 years old, and I'm proud to say that I come from the Sliammon Nation. I am proud to say that my ancestors lived on that land and were one with that land and respected Mother Earth. But I'm not proud to say what has happened to our nation, what has happened to our territory, and what has happened to our people. I always grew up, and I'm still growing up, around my Kukpa and Chichi, around the land, around what we have under the context of the environment and of our culture. But I also grew up knowing what was lost in our culture, what we could no longer do, what was lost in our environment. I grew up from the time that I was a baby, because again, I'm still growing up, knowing what my traditional territory, where it was, and it was called To Show Some. Our village was called To Show Some, and that means places spawning herring. There are no more herring there anymore. I grew up around the treaty and around being divided from our family and around being divided on our land, and how Sliammon was breaking. I knew what we had, and I know what we have, but I also know what is lost. So in the past 4 years, I've been involved in fighting the Northern Gateway Pipeline, from the Northern Gateway Pipeline going from the tar sands to Kitimat, and from there on super tankers. But since there, and since my struggle to fight the Northern Gateway Pipeline, my view on how Sliammon is being destroyed culturally and environmentally also broadened to other nations around the globe, other countries around the globe. Recently, I went to Rio de Janiero, and that was a conference where world leaders would get together, our quote-unquote leaders would get together, and they would talk about creating a sustainable future for the many generations to come, and being the leaders that we need, that our children need, that our Mother Earth needs, our Mother Earth who is dying. I was so excited for this conference because this is a thing that does not happen very often, that our leaders will actually step up to that pedestal that they've been elected to stand up on, and actually, do something that will benefit more than just Enbridge, more than just Kinder Morgan. But once I attended this conference, I realized that this was nothing but an event where they were taking the word green and they were throwing that in the faces of the press, and they were saying, we're doing something good, we're holding a conference. And they were basically reinventing the wheel, and really the game plans that came out of that conference were, okay, so we're going to change this small little thing, and that's going to take effect in the next 100 years. And then we're going to start 150 years later, and just spread out over the century. That wouldn't really do anything significant to help our environment. So really it showed me that we can't keep waiting for our authorities and for our government to change these things. I recently involved with an organization that was trying to convince the government into doing things for our environment. But it was then I realized they aren't going to be convinced. We, as a people, have to move on without them. We have to take those steps towards those changes that they're never going to take. So that was, that was what I learned from that conference. And what I also learned was that, what I thought from that was that we're on this industrial road, and we're in a car, and that car is run on oil, and we're traveling towards this cliff at 100 miles an hour, and we're not turning around. And we keep seeing these signs that are telling us to stop and telling us to turn around, but we're not doing that. And pretty soon we're going to hit a cliff, and then we're going to fall. And there's no turning around from there, but we can still stop the car and turn around. So, I'm going to sing a song called Earth Revolution. And this is especially about the youth and about the children standing up and making a change. We have elders and chiefs and so many inspiring people and empowering people who are trying to protect the future of my generation, of the next generation. But they get tired, and the youth, it being our future, we really need to be speaking up about these issues.